Hello, listeners. Welcome back to our nostalgic or problematic series where we are rewatching season 2 of Dawson's Creek. And guys, we have reached. Oh, my Siri is picking me up. Who knows what's going to happen there? I think that my husband just got all that on a voice text. So that's
welcome.
Anyway, we have reached the end of season 2.
Wow.
I can't believe it. See,
I
2
can't either.
episodes. That's what we have to do every week. It's just,
I know.
So today we are going to talk about the last 2 episodes in season 2, and man, there's a lot to cover.
A lot.
I didn't take a lot of notes because I was
Mhm.
just watching.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of emotions.
Yes.
So season 2, episode 21 is called Changes. I can't help but think of that song.
Yeah.
Changes. Something. Y'all know
I don't know
never the
anything
words.
else, but I know that part.
I never know the words to songs. It's such a bad trait of mine. All right. The summary is, as Dawson looks for a subject for his film class final, Andy and Jack's father insists on moving them away from Capeside.
Oof. Yeah.
So
That was
let's
a
just
lot.
jump right in here because we don't have a lot of
Okay.
time.
I just wrote down in the opening scene, this is not emotional at all, but did you see the Snapple on Dawson's desk?
Yeah.
And it was like
and the ET in the background as
yes,
always.
yes, that was really fun. That's all I really had about that opening scene, though. I
She
just said
"Yay,
Snapple on
Snapple."
desk. And then his camcorder. Would that have been advanced for the time?
Probably.
Okay, I was trying to think back.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It was smaller.
Super big. It was like a handheld.
Yeah. No. I want to say, I mean, that was 1999. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember a friend of mine had we had like a sleepover or whatever, and she had like her parents like camcorder, and it was like the shoulder kind.
Yeah.
So, and that was like a year before this. So I would assume
there you go.
that would there was a reason
benchmark
for me going down that.
So the story there is that for his film class, Dawson needs to, I don't know if he needs to interview someone, but he just needs, yes, he does, because he needs to have something with a character arc.
Yes.
So he needs to interview a person, which is funny because we're talking about the character arc of the season, obviously, in this episode, the next episode. So I'm sure that's on purpose.
Right.
And so he's sort of feeling people out in the episode to see if they could be the person. And so Joey's the first person he asks, and she's like, didn't you already like do enough about me?
You wrote a whole fucking movie about me.
Like, no thank you. Like, I'm good. My life is super happy right now. My dad's here. You and I are good. Like, everything's all set.
And also Joey doesn't like attention.
Also that.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that kind of weaves throughout this episode.
Yeah.
All right. So then we got the episode. So the very first thing that I wrote down is Andy's dad.
Yeah.
Wanting her to move with him.
There's so much to be said here. This is why I didn't write a lot of notes, because I'm like, there's just too much to write. First of all, don't be gone and like tell your kids, fend for yourself with your mentally ill mother. And then all of a sudden come back to be this savior. That's what I wrote. Do not be a savior.
Yeah.
Like, that is so annoying.
Yeah.
And also shitty parenting.
Very. And it really does. He even says later on, because I think Jack says something like, well, why does she need to come with you? Or why do you need to go there? He's like, because my life is there, or I'm there.
Right.
Instead of like, maybe I should come meet you all where you are.
Well, also, you never should have shipped them off without a parent anyway.
Correct.
A capable parent.
Right. Exactly.
So that's annoying. And I can totally understand Jack's frustration. He's like, hello. And poor Jack, like, he's trying here to manage his mom and his sister and himself. I feel like he's the one who's the most capable of managing, but he still has his shit too.
Right.
And I just mean, like, I don't mean his shit that he's gay. I mean his shit in dealing with everybody else's opinions on him being gay.
Right. And being like a teenager.
And
period.
Yes. And period.
Like,
just being a teenage
a
boy
and a son
trying
and a brother
to live your life.
Yeah, all the things. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
I mean, it's hard because at the end of the day, he is their parent.
Right.
And so he does get to say where they go and what he thinks is best. And so I don't know. I didn't like it either because I was like, well, they've gotten this far, but then it's also like he is the grown person with the resources to help her. So is there another option? Not really.
I know. And then I think too, like I always say, if you're still breathing, there's always time to change.
That too.
I don't think he really is changing, but like I do think it's hard because when people try to make changes, you're if you're on the other side of it, you're kind of reluctant because you're like, hello, what have you been doing all the rest of this fucking time? But he's trying to come in now, I guess. And like,
yeah, and
I just wish he would have approached it differently.
Yes. And I think the scene later when him and Jack have a heart-to-heart, you do see by the end of that
he's trying.
And
it was interesting that Dawson is doing this thing on a character arc because everybody in the episode has one. Did you notice that?
I did.
Even the dads.
Even the dads. Yeah. So then when Dawson sees Jen at school and he's trying to get her to be his subject, she's like, what's this for? America's Most Hideous Home Videos? And then she says something about candid camera. She's like, or is it candid camera? And I was like, that's funny. At first, you know what's really funny? I thought she said Candace Cameron. And I was like, what? And I had the subtitles on, so I went back because I was watching on my laptop. I went back like 30 seconds and it said candid camera because Bob Saget hosted America's Funniest Home Video. So I thought she was making like a Candace Cameron like reference, cut. But no, she was talking about candid camera.
You watch everything with captions?
Almost everything.
Really? Yeah. But you don't have hearing problems, yeah?
I have trouble. I have more of auditory processing problems.
Oh, okay, got it.
So when there's sound upon sound, I can't process what I'm hearing.
Okay. So like if there's background,
and I do it for Dawson's because I do watch it before like everybody else is up and things like that. So there's not a lot of sound, is to keep it quiet because people are sleeping, and I watch it like out in the main house. So I'll turn on the captions, whether it's on TV or on my laptop, and take my notes.
Interesting. I just ask because Cooper watches everything with captions when I'm not. I can't stand to have captions on, even though I do have hearing issues. I just turn it fucking loud as hell, and it drives my whole house crazy. But I get distracted because I have attention problems. So like trying to read and watch, that's why I have a hard time watching foreign films that have subtitles, because I just like I can't do both. But Cooper, I don't know why he does. He just says he likes to have them on. So
I do too.
And I wonder if his is like that, like an auditory thing, and he just doesn't realize.
He doesn't know that that's why. There's pitfalls to it though, because the way a person tells a joke, like Pacey, for example, sometimes I see what he's going to say before he says it.
Oh, got it.
So like my brain processes it, and then he delivers
and then
the
it's
line.
Different. Yeah.
And it's like you kind of lose the surprise or whatever, the acting choice a little bit.
Yes.
So there's that. And that's not just in Dawson's Creek. That's in anything.
Yeah.
Or there's like a pause before something suspenseful happens, but the caption already has it up there. Generally, captions are pretty good at like being where they're supposed to be, but every now and then. So then you like hear the thing and it's not revealed the way maybe the filmmaker or the screenwriter wanted it to be revealed. So that does happen.
I will say though, one more thing on captions. I'm glad that they have them now. They're just commonplace, because I remember I had a friend in high school whose brother was hearing impaired. Like he was deaf in one ear and was partially hearing in the other. And it was really hard for them to find stuff that had closed captions. Like they had some, like one TV in their house, I think was like super expensive, like that they could put captions on, but not every show,
not everything was
had it enabled.
Right.
And I because nobody in my family at that time, had hearing issues, I didn't even realize that was like a thing. And you know what else? Somebody asked at the theater where I bartend and we perform at sometimes, why we don't have interpreters or like a closed cap, like they call them something in theaters where they have the words. Yeah. And they were like, it's just, especially because like if it's a musical, like the sound is really hard.
If you think of a musical, like I'll use Great Comet as an example because our local high school recently did it. I loved that show. I really thought it was beautiful and well done, and they did such a good job. I think I would have enjoyed it more if I had captions.
See, I would have
been able to keep up. And they're a high school, so like I do not expect that. But that's just an example of in like a professional theater setting or something where that would be super helpful. I think
it is expensive. Like I did ask because I wanted to be able to tell the patron like the answer. This happened a while ago. And the answer was is the price. It's just really expensive to get the stuff to set it up in a community theater.
Of course.
And even to pay an interpreter every single, 16 shows or whatever.
That's pricey.
Pricey.
Yeah.
And it's a nonprofit theater. So like.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard.
Anyway.
But at least we have it on TV.
But we do, and that's great. All right,
so Jen doesn't want to be on the thing. So I like the part where I just put Dawson reminding Pacey that he's the one who changed his own life.
True.
Pacey saying something like,
he said it's all because of Andy.
Because of Andy. And he's like, and Dawson's like, respect to Andy. She's awesome. And she has really like brought out the best in you. Yes. But you have done this.
Yeah. Well, I think about that when I work with people with personal training. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, Danny, because of you, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. Mm-hmm. I may have given you the information, the knowledge, the tools, but really it's up to you. Like, yes. And that's exactly what she did. Mm-hmm. So she gave him the information, the tools, some tactics, but it was he could have got all that from her and not done anything.
Absolutely.
Right?
He could have just
so it was all on him.
Not to have his arc,
Correct.
And then Pacey's got that whole speech about how he's afraid that he's a fraud. Like in that moment. Yeah. And I just felt so sad.
I know.
And he's like, I'm afraid one day she's going to look at me and really see me.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think we've all had that fear in life. Oh,
totally.
My gosh.
It's kind of like imposter syndrome, which is a thing. So there's that. But then for relationships too.
Yeah.
Where you think, well, the only reason they must like me this much is because they don't really know me. Mm-hmm. When generally that's not the case unless you're deliberately trying to deceive someone, which is different. But if you're being vulnerable with someone and actually engaging in an honest relationship, they do see you.
Right.
Even if they don't know all the little things. But it's easy to kind of feel like at any moment this could all be taken away. And I felt like that was a really, really cool moment to have him and Dawson kind of having that conversation.
Yeah.
Then they start renovating the ice house in this one.
Okay, can we just talk about Dawson doing manual labor?
Yes, we can.
Hilarious. And it was like a turn on for Joey. She was like, oh, except he didn't even know what a level was.
Yeah, he's like, what's this for?
And I'm like, okay, I am the least handy person in the history of the world, but I know what a level is, Dawson.
Hello.
Come on.
So it's funny because my dad's in construction.
Right.
And he would kind of do this thing if I would date someone long enough and have them help him with stuff, whether it was at the house or like, hey, you need some extra hours? Like I've got a roofing project. And I had this one pretty serious boyfriend in high school and college, and we're still friends today. And he still runs into my dad and they say hi and stuff, that actually would like go work with him in the summer. But same thing. He didn't know how to do anything, but by the end of it, he did. Right. But it was funny because I was like, I can't tell if he's trying to make me like not like them because they're so inept at this stuff, or if like he's genuinely like, here's some skills. I don't know. Or testing, can they learn skills?
Can they learn?
And to be honest, like, obviously you don't have to know how to be handy and build stuff. I shouldn't say inept. Like,
no, I'm inept.
To be a man or whatever. Like you don't have to know how to do all that stuff. But like, it was just sort of a funny thing. It really reminded me of that. I also like the line Dawson said when he was talking to Joey, and he says, wait, a relative of yours is complaining and acting negative? I think they were talking about, was it Bessie? Maybe they were talking about her dad. I don't know.
I don't remember.
But it was just really funny. And she laughed because the arc in this one for Joey is she's so happy at the start because all her things are coming true. Her dad's back. Dawson and her are doing great. Yeah. They're renovating the ice house. Like everything is good, which unfortunately her arc goes the other way.
I know. Well, okay. Do you have anything else with that?
Not with that part. No.
Okay. I was going to say, like I said, I literally didn't have a lot of notes.
I don't have that much more for
but
this episode,
I wrote down about Andy. Mm-hmm. So, her dad wants her to go. Originally, she doesn't want to leave. But then she has this realization. And she feels good about it. Mm-hmm. And I think that she wants to get back. She wants to leave because she knows she needs to get better. Mm-hmm. And I think that's very mature. And I actually am glad that they wrote that the way they did. Mm-hmm. Because for her, all these people are like, no, we're going to stay. And then she wanted to stay. But then when she really thought about it, she was like, all right, it's more important that I get better. So I can come back here to this life I really like.
Yes.
And I can't get better here. I have to go. And I think that is a very mature thing.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And that she didn't really want to go.
Right. But she knew she had to.
discomfort and missing people and, not the greatest relationship with her dad. Plus, it's just freaking hard to face your struggles. It's hard to confront them, whatever they are.
It is hard to heal.
Very hard. And, she probably knew she could sort of keep masking and staying where she was, or that she needed to really remove herself from the situation. And at the end of the day, her dad does have the resources to get her the best help out there.
The one thing was he bringing the mom with him?
It sounded like it. He said, your mom and sister need help.
But okay, the mom should have been with, I don't know. That's
another story.
That's whatever.
They didn't really delve too deep into that, but that was the vibe that I got. That was what was happening.
The combo that Jack and his dad have, or his dad's was talking about Jack choosing his sexuality, and he's like, people have changed back.
Yeah.
Ugh, that killed me.
But I loved how Jack, especially in this episode, there were 2 times when he's having really difficult conversations with people that he said all the right things.
He did.
And this was the first one.
Yeah.
Where he was like, it's not a choice, basically.
It's who I am.
And if I tried to act like I wasn't doing that, it would be for your benefit.
Correct. Not his.
And I'm not doing that anymore.
And you know what it made me think of? I have several friends that their parents felt the same as Jack's and sent them to conversion camps. And that breaks my heart. In fact, I have one friend who was sent several times.
Wow.
Guess what?
Didn't
Still
work.
Gay.
Yeah.
Because.
And now you've just broken.
And now you've created
trust with
even more trauma.
Yes.
And more difficulty and more. And given money to fucking asshole people. I don't know. I anytime I see something like that, that's what I think of. And I think of these stories that have been told to me, and it's just terrible. I just can't imagine as a parent being like, I'm going to send you away. Not that his dad's saying, well, kind of, he was alluding to it. He said, there's ways people can change. He didn't say he was going to send him away to a conversion camp.
No,
but
it didn't get that far.
He was also like, we need to deal with your stuff too, or something like that. And I don't know. It's just sad.
And at the end of that conversation, which was essentially their dad saying the things you're saying and Jack sort of countering with the things I said.
Yeah.
There was a moment where his dad, you see in his face that it's kind of sinking in.
Yeah.
TBD
if
that will work out. And then Jack starts to walk away and he says, wait, Jack. And he turns around and you can see him trying to kind of get up the courage to say something, and he doesn't. Which is kind of sad, but also like something is clicking, hopefully. But that's kind of how that's how that scene ends.
Well, because we have a moment like that with Pacey's dad in the next episode.
Correct.
Right? It's the next one? Yeah.
Yeah. So we've also got this side story of Jen in this episode where she calls, because she's still staying over at Dawson's. She calls her parents to see if she can come back to New York. We don't know how that ends till later. So we see her at a bus stop. So we're like, oh, is she going to New York? And Jack runs into her or finds her there. He goes there. Okay.
On purpose to tell her not to go.
Okay. And then we find out her parents don't want her to come back, but she's just basically going wherever. And Jack convinces her to stay with him.
Yeah.
Because he's going to need a roommate, which for now, that's kind of where that
goes.
Which
is so fucking crazy.
I know.
I need a roommate. I'm 16. Come be a roommate with me, 16-year-old fellow.
In this like really beautiful, huge, nice house. But this was another tough conversation he had with Jen. And he says to her, parents should love kids unconditionally. They don't have to earn it. They don't have to be any particular way or thing, which of course is also relating back to his own situation. But I put Jack truth bombs the entire episode because it's true. And so he gets her to not get on the bus, and we are like, okay, they're going to be roommates. Then the bombshell of the episode, when Dawson comes into the ice house and sees Joey's dad and his friend Pete in the back, and he sees them with, it's like a white substance hidden
cocaine,
in something. It looks like cocaine. And the guy says something like, let the good times roll, or something stupid. And of course, Dawson's like frozen in like, oh my God. But I get him I get him not necessarily wanting to say something to Joey right away, and this spills into the next episode.
Yeah.
But that was a tough one without going too far in the weeds for me.
Yeah.
As having a loved one in and out of incarceration, because every time they get out of incarceration, you hope that was the time that turned everything around, and how quickly it can deteriorate, especially if you go back to your same environment.
Well, I haven't had a family member incarcerated, but I have had one in rehab, and it's the same thing, because you're kind of just holding your breath.
Yeah.
Right? You're just holding your breath, and that's why they have halfway houses for both purposes, right? It's kind of to ease you back so you don't go back into those circumstances.
And sleep on the couch of the friend that enabled you before.
For whatever.
Right, that you've got, whatever, or you're on the street or whatever it may be.
And I mean, like, this is a cliche, but when you say old habits die hard, it's true.
It is true. Yeah.
Especially if you made money off drugs.
Yep.
Like, and you're like, okay, it's just going to be this one time
to get my family back on track.
I'm just going to get my feet wet, just get a little bit in my pocket, and then that's it. And then I'm done. I could totally see the appeal of that.
Me too.
Honestly.
Me too. I can totally see where he's coming from. And I think the frustrating part as a viewer then is that you want to say, like, your family doesn't care about that.
I know.
They just want you, and they don't care if they don't have a lot of money, if they have to work hard at your restaurant. Like,
I know.
They don't care. They just want you. And that's the frustrating part.
For him, I think that's probably hard because he has so much guilt.
Yes.
He feels like I'm their lone parent left. I'm their provider. Like, all the things. It's just very complicated.
It's very complicated. Very complicated.
Like, I also, and I felt for Dawson too. I remembered all this from before watching this. I feel for Dawson too this whole time because that's a lot of pressure. Do I say or do I not say?
Right.
And I mean, this is like a legal thing. Like,
right.
Like, for instance, if we saw one of our family members doing that would be very like, okay, what do we do? Like, like if I saw one of your family members, would I tell you? I don't know.
That'd be hard.
Right?
I think you would eventually.
I probably would. I'm not good with secrets, so maybe let's flip that.
But I know what you mean. Yeah.
But that's a very heavy weight to carry because he knows it's going to just tear her up.
And then the other side of it, which we come into in the next episode, is that could also be in a dangerous situation.
Correct.
And if she's not aware at all,
correct,
she's not prepared at all.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into.
So should we go into the before I do have one funny thing from this episode.
Oh, good.
When Andy and Pacey go on their date night?
Yes.
What the fuck up was with his shirt?
I didn't even remember it.
Oh my God. It was blue velvet.
Again
with the velvet.
Okay.
And it had like some kind of design on
it.
Okay. It was so bad. How did you not notice?
I mean, I watched the scene. I just didn't notice that his outfit was bad.
They put Pacey in some dumb ass clothes.
They really do.
I mean, I remember people wearing velvet shirts, but like it was bad.
His are bad. The only other thing I said about this one was watching Andy drive away with her dad was like painful.
I know.
Although hopeful, because you're like, okay.
Well, and you could see Pacey like had so much nervous, like sad energy. Could you see that when she was like he was trying so hard to keep it together for her, but he like couldn't like. Yeah, their whole I put a sad face. Pacey and Andy's not goodbye because they said they didn't want it to be a goodbye.
Right.
And wait till next season.
Oh God. Okay.
I know. Okay.
All right.
So moving into the next season finale, we've only got like a few minutes left. This one's called Parental Discretion Advised. Summary is, as Dawson wrestles with Mr. Potter's drug dealing, Pacey squares off with his dad. So lots still with the character arcs, lots still with the parents.
So much going on. Really early in the episode, Jen and Jack have this almost after school special conversation about suicide. I mean, it's not funny, but
it's not funny. It was
the way that she was like, well, did you know one in blah, blah, blah.
The way it was written was weird.
I was like, hello?
Yeah.
What?
The way it was written was not natural and very like, oh, we better throw these facts in. And hey, let's hit on teen suicide while we're at it.
Yeah.
I felt like, did you ever watch Glee?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you remember towards the end of the show, I felt like every episode they tried to throw in as many like lessons like that as they could, like the texting while driving, like I feel like that was a moment like that. Like,
it definitely was.
Like, oh, we should hit on teen suicide. Let's throw that in there. It was weird. I'm with you.
I thought that it was interesting foreshadowing when Pacey's in the car with his dad and he hears the transmission about surveillance at the ice house.
I know.
And he's like, because Dawson saw the drugs in the last episode, but he hasn't said anything to anyone. So Pacey's like, why are you doing that? Like, leave Mr. Potter alone. Hasn't he been through enough? And, his dad, who's a jerk and continues to be a jerk this episode, but then has a little arc at the end, is kind of like, well, you don't know everything.
Right.
Basically. And that's my job.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really good foreshadowing. Okay. I had a little rabbit hole.
Uh-oh.
And it's okay. Don't worry. So the man comes in who I thought the whole season was the principal. And he says, your favorite guidance counselor is here. The older guy?
Yeah, the old guy, yeah.
I said, is this guy a guidance counselor?
Yeah, the whole time.
So when he was trying to get that teacher fired, he kept going to that guy.
Yeah, because he's a guidance counselor.
Okay. Well, I was like, what?
The principal is younger.
Is that lady? Is it the lady?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought she was a vice principal. I don't know why.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. So I was like, so I pulled up, because in Amazon Prime, they have like the cast. And he's Richard K. Olsen. He was in The Face on the Milk Carton.
Stop it.
Yes.
Was he the principal on that?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, so that's why you thought he was principal?
Maybe. Because that wouldn't have been that far of a time jump. A little bit.
Oh, you're like, he's a principal everywhere.
I'm like, this guy isn't a guidance counselor.
You're like, you forgot your role. Get out of here.
Get out of here, guy. So anyway, that was it. I was going down rabbit hole for Richard K. Olsen.
Well, another person we haven't talked about yet is Gail.
Yep.
Okay. Again, Gail getting on my nerves, just telling Mitch what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's not how you co-parent. Like, okay, I'm not in a co-parenting situation, but you are.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you don't get to, like, that is bad co-parenting. Let me put it that way.
There you go.
She is just like, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And Dawson will come here and there. But she tries to make it look like Dawson has a choice. And Mitch is kind of like, well, you're doing like what you want. And like, I just feel bad for fucking Mitch, man. Not because I have a crush on him, but because, but because I feel like he just gets like, well, your wife had an affair on you. So now you have to move out. Now your wife wants to go have this great job. Again, now you have to adjust your life. Meanwhile, this poor man's trying to figure out how to like live his dream and still be default parent because Gail gets to just be an anchor and all her things.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I like what she said in that conversation, though, when they're talking about the job. Or I guess it's later. It's later. I'll save it.
Okay.
It's the other conversation they have. And he does say to her, like, I feel like you're choosing this job over Dawson. And I think maybe that's like too simplified.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a mom guilt thing.
Yeah.
To be like, you're choosing a job.
Well, right. No.
And I didn't love that.
What I don't like, though, is that she is just making the choice without consulting
No, I
Mitch.
agree.
Because
it should be a family decision.
It should be, because
they're really a family unit.
If you are really trying to co-parent before you move out of state, you should have that conversation.
Yeah. And get all the things ironed out.
I mean, 100%. Just for legal reasons.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Speaking of parents, let's talk about Pacey's fucking dad.
Yeah. I said just a mess. The assault is just way too far.
Oh, yeah. Slapped him in the face.
And
then Pacey punches him back.
Later.
But I think, though, they put that there just so you knew how toxic the relationship is.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I understand why they wrote it in.
Oh, yeah. Like, but
one thing I didn't love about that, though, is the dad almost appears to have more respect for Pacey after Pacey punches him.
I know.
And I didn't like that.
But I feel like that's that toxic masculinity whole aura that the dad's about.
I guess. But like by the end, he's like, no, you should have done it. Like, because he's like, sorry, I punched you. And I was just kind of like, so this is the thing that makes him like impressed?
Well, yeah, he's a piece of
shit.
And also, toxic masculinity.
Oh, definitely.
And a cop in the late 90s. That's part of the culture then.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But so his dad, wow. Okay, so then can we come to the big plot
fire
point? Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about the fire.
There's a fire set in the ice house while like Joey and her classmates are quietly like doing homework, and the dad's in the back, and the police have just been there.
Yep.
And he's still there. He's like out heading to
They
his
were about
car.
to leave. Yeah.
He's getting ready to leave. And someone lights a fire in the back, and everything goes up in flames, and then they all get out. Spoiler alert. Everyone gets
okay,
out.
Dawson going in there with the fire hydrant trying to get the dad. I was like, okay, hero.
Yeah.
I forgot he did that.
I did too. And I was like, what's happening? And to kind of put that back to him, like not knowing what a level was or whatever. So that's a bit of a character arc where now you're just grabbing whatever you can find and breaking windows and pulling people through them.
But I feel like that's what happens though. Like it's like when you get superhuman strength because you just go into that mode. I know that's happened to me before with my kids in emergency situations because I am not a good person generally in a crisis. Like I know this about myself. I'm just not. I freak out and whatever. But like when it's extreme situations, I like click into another mode. Like Caden got attacked by this pit bull one time. Yeah, it was anyway. And Troy had to stay and call the cops and this stuff. It was a mess. And I had to get him to the ER, and we lived like half hour away, and he was bleeding and terrified. And I remember just being totally fine. Happened again with Troy having to go to the hospital
this last time.
And he's screaming in pain, and I have no idea what's happening. And I'm just like calm as a cucumber. And then later, so I'm able to keep it together. Like, Dawson busts in there and all the shit. And then later it's like it all hits you and you're like, oh, what?
The gravity of it.
Yeah. It's like delayed reaction. Like you can't handle it in the moment, but then later. So I feel like that's probably Dawson. Like he's just running on that. I have to fucking do this. I have to do this. And then later he's like, you could kind of see it when he comes out, and he's just kind of
standing out there, like, what's going on.
But
so they all get out.
Everybody's okay. The dad's okay. He was trying to flush so much drugs down the toilet.
He was. Yeah, he was. And so that's kind of the moment where we see Dawson kind of click, like, okay, now this is just fucking dangerous. Not just for me, but for Joey and for every fucking other person that was just in there. I'm going to say something. So that's kind of where that is. And so before Dawson gets a chance to really tell anyone, Joey confronts her dad about it and asks him back at home when
he lied.
And he lies. She's like, do you know who set the fire? Was it an arson? Does it have to do with drugs? And he swore on whatever. And Bessie didn't want her to ask, and she did anyway. So then Joey goes out to the dock, and Dawson comes down and basically tells her what he knows.
Yeah.
And she's kind of mean about it and says like, oh, you're wrong. He just swore to me.
And I thought it was interesting. I don't remember if it was there or another time when I wrote this down. Joey tells Dawson like that she sees things in gray, and Dawson sees things in black and white. And I was like, damn, I feel that.
Yeah. I mean,
because for her, it's not that. He's just like, it's simple. You tell, like, it's dangerous. Tell, like, here it is. Like, here's the solution. And she's like, well, it's not, though. I live in this gray area of, but
what if? And I think that's certainly a personality thing, but it's also depending what part of a situation you are. So Dawson's an outsider.
Correct.
So to him,
for him, it is simple.
But if it was his dad,
it'd be a lot more complicated.
So yeah, I think that's a really, really good way to look at it. And Dawson does say in that conversation, he says, I'm willing to lose you, like this relationship, and you like wanting to be with me over this.
Yeah.
Because it's that important.
Right. Well, because he was talking about like his, like, that's just the right thing and his morals. And she's like, well, kind of fuck your morals. Yeah. Like, this is my life. That's not the conversation, guys.
But it was kind of
similar.
Yeah, similar.
And I get that. Like, I do. There are times that moral lines are blurred because your shit, like your love and your shit gets in the way.
Sure.
And
yeah,
it's not always as simple as somebody else
that
thinks.
Right. So then we go to the scene where Gail and Mitch are sitting together on the picnic table. It looked like he had on like a maybe LL Bean or something jacket. He looked so cute. But Mitch basically says, going through these challenging things the last couple days as a family unit have reminded me how much I miss it. And he kind of gets down on one knee. But this is the part where Gail basically says, you want what we had.
Right.
Which we aren't ever going to have again.
Nope.
Even if we could start something new that was great, it'll never be the same. And she's like, this job is the first thing that's felt right in a long time. And it's good, I think, that she said that. Because she's not trying to be like, well, maybe once, blah, blah, blah. She's like, this is over. You know? But I understood him, like, feeling like, oh, we could do this because we just did these last couple days when we were here for Dawson. And, like, he went through this and we've, like, helped him through it so far. Obviously, it's not over yet. But I thought that was interesting. And then we've got Jen.
I know. Poor Jen. I just write poor Jen. I feel for her all the time. And like when they're reunited and that Alana song is playing.
That I Would Be Good. I love that song.
I was crying.
Me
and
too.
then they show Jack sitting on the swing with his duffel bag.
So sweet.
Look, that's what I wrote.
Wow,
broken heart. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was really, really powerful. And I liked that Jen came back with conditions.
Yeah.
And that Grams was like soft.
Well, and I think it took them. I mean, again, Grams fucked up. So she realizes it and she wants him to come back and she gets it.
She gets it.
And so and then after that, we have Pacey and his dad scene where Pacey's dad talks to Andy on the phone because the reason Pacey punches his dad is because he insults Andy.
Correct.
Right.
Not because it had anything to do with him directly.
Right. And but then when his dad apologizes and hugs him and Pacey like sobs.
Oh, I know.
Because that sob was not just because he missed Andy. That sob is because his dad probably never has hugged him.
Oh, totally.
And never has apologized.
Yeah.
And so many other things.
And feeling, at least in that moment, Pacey feeling seen by his dad.
Yes.
That his dad's basically like, I understand you because of this thing.
Yes.
And just that feeling sometimes can just be really overwhelming.
Yeah.
Emotionally.
Oh my God.
That was beautiful.
And then again, after that, I just kept writing. And then Joey with the wire.
Oh, I know.
I knew it was coming because, like I said, I remembered this episode.
Too, and I knew as soon as she walked in there and was standing away from him. So essentially, Joey talks to the cop, to Pacey's dad, and he wants her to. He doesn't say wear a wire, but he just says if you can get him to like be honest with us, it would be better for him.
Right.
So next thing you know, she's in their kitchen, standing away from him, basically him confessing about the drugs and this is why I was doing it. And then she shows him.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm sorry. And it was like on her tummy. And then you see them like arresting him and taking him out. And then Bessie's there with the baby, which the baby.
Hello, baby.
Yeah. Normally you don't like see the
baby.
And the baby looked like the boyfriend who's apparently missing in action. And Bessie, I was like, oh, that's what the baby looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. And then she kind of walks by her, not meanly, but not warmly either.
Yeah.
That was weird. I didn't like that. But I get it. It's emotional.
It is. It's confusing.
Hard.
It's confusing.
So Joey's dad being hauled back to jail. And then her and Dawson have this thing at the end where they confront each other. And I get it because it's kind of misplaced anger. But what I thought was interesting is Joey says to him, she's like, maybe I'll be able to forgive my dad. Maybe I'll be able to forgive myself. I will never forgive you.
I know. I felt so bad for Dawson.
I was like, you can forgive your dad, whose fault this whole thing is,
who
but
lied to
not
you.
Dawson.
I know. Like,
hello? Like, I don't know. I didn't like that.
I felt bad for him.
I get it. I get why in that moment she's lashing out. And
I know.
And, they do say, and we know this as parents, you lash out at the people that are closest to you. And that's probably what she was doing. He's a safe space. But I felt so bad for him. And then that's how the season ends.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. We can't stop now.
No, we can't stop now.
Oh my God. I remember what happens in the first episode.
Okay. Ooh, okay. Well, I guess we'll just we'll decide.
We're just going to keep going.
Decide. Yeah,
we're going to keep going.
We'll keep going. Well, thank you guys for listening to all of season 2.
Oh my gosh.
Yes! and hopefully you'll stick around for season 3 and all of our other episodes. Xennial Girl Summer, check it out. Lots of books and movies coming up. I hope you'll read and watch with us.
Yes, absolutely.
And make sure you're reviewing us and sharing us with your friends. And we will see you next time.
See you next
time.
On
Generation in Between. Bye.